Grace and peace, everybody. We are back. You saw the thumbnail, you saw the title, you checked your clock, you know what time it is. Actually, a little bit later than usual, but shout out to everybody who's jumped into the best live chat on the internet. Thank you for being understanding for the next 2 weeks. So, all of this week, all of next week, Chief Executive Second Born has a school play. I have to pick her up at 6 o'clock unless Lady Dear Woke Christian's available, or my favorite niece. I think she might be watching. My favorite niece wants to go pick her cousin up. That would be great. Your uncle will be very happy. Husband would be great. Do the little heart thing like the kids do. Like, do that. Is that how it works? There we go. See, come on, help a brother out. Anyway, thank y'all so much for hanging in there. Thank you so much for jumping into the best live chat. Now, I have to tell you, I have no idea what she talked about. I mean, I just opened it up and saw the thumbnail. I have no clue. I have no idea what we're talking about today. I have no idea. But I figured who else to watch it with but the best live chat on the internet. So shout out to everybody who's already jumped into the best live chat. Whoa, wait, what did I just see? I just saw something. Oh, goodness. Oh, gosh. Okay. I have no idea. I don't even know who these people are. I see Andrew Colvin and I see Charlie Kirk. I don't know who the other guy is. I don't know who the dude is. But let's just get into this because we got it's not a long show either. It's longer, it's not as long as her usual shows are. So it's a couple minutes shy of it. So with no further ado, children, let's do it. All right. I already know how it's going to be because the audio is going to be bad. You know what? Hold on. Let me make an executive decision. I'm gonna make an executive decision. I'm going to, since I'm watching the show on delay, I can actually change the audio now. Because a lot of people complain about her audio, and I complain about her audio because I think her audio is insane. When she records her show, she needs to just record the audio at maximum depth, and she doesn't do that. So let me real quick. I'm securing it, and I'm going to change the audio so then that way everybody who said it before and there's nothing I can do. Well, now I can do something because I'm late. Well, there you go. Shout out to Chief Executive Second Born. All right. So because of that, now I can change the audio. Oh my gosh, it's low. I can hear it already. It is low. It was awful. Oh my gosh, really? Okay, don't tell me what she talked about. I have no idea what she talked about. All right, hold on one second. I'm scrubbing it right now. And I should take out the commercials too while I'm at it. I mean, that would be dope, Jason. Shout out to the best live chat on the internet. All right. American Horror Story. That poor woman, man. That poor woman. I feel sorry for her at this point. Like, her usefulness in this space has totally run its course. I mean, she's no longer useful as a content creator. Like, she's not useful in content creation. I'm sorry. Ooh, we can amplify this volume. Oh, y'all gonna be so happy about this, especially the people that have been complaining, and rightly so, man. They've been complaining. Oh man, this is gonna be great. Hold on, let me trim out the commercial now. I can do that. Let's get that out of here too. Let's get this thing down to the brass tacks. All right, there we go. There's that. That little intro that she does, we can get rid of that. We don't need that. That thing she complaining because she can't use Kanye's voice. Bada boom, bada bing, it's gone. All right, now shout out to the best live chat. Let me go ahead and get this commercial out of here. I'm sure there's an ad read. It's almost like you know an ad read's coming. I'm just scrubbing through it like, what are you talking about today? I can tell you right now, just from looking at it, it looks like the enemies of the state are Christians today. It looks like it's pretty clear. Christian or some kind of church, whatever, looks like what she's got a hankering for today. All right, I got that commercial out. So the ad read is out too. Oh man, we are cooking. Okay, so I guess there is a good benefit for Chief Executive Second Born having a school play. Shout out to Second Born. Now not like she wasn't useful before, but now she's super useful. She has a second ad read in here. That one's gone too. We're about to have We about to have a show here today. We're not gonna learn about getting our skincare up, though. I'm gonna tell you that much. We get no skincare commercials. We're not gonna be buying any merch from her, at least. Y'all can always go check out my store and get yourself a hoodie. You can always do that. All right, so let me check the audio real quick, see how loud it is. Wow. Wow, y'all are gonna be anybody who's complained about the audio, you're welcome. That's all I'm gonna say. The audio is so much better now. Here, let me just let me save it real quick and then we'll be ready to pop and lock. Thank y'all, everybody who's jumped into the best. 318 of y'all already up in here. All right, let's go. What was it called? Horror? Yeah, I'm gonna call it horror. Man, I can't imagine hating people that much that you would fabricate and concoct stories like she does just to try to besmirch them. That's gonna have to be studied by science. Like, yo, like you really do hate these people that you would make up stories, that you would go this far above and beyond to make up stories. Shout out to the best live chat. So anybody who just hopped in, I appreciate y'all. Make sure you hit the like like button. Since I was late, I said, hey, I could do is I could change the audio because a lot of people have complained, myself included, that the audio is really low on her recording. Well, now that I can record it, because we're usually doing it in real time, but now since I'm doing it after the fact, at least for the next 2 weeks, the school play is next weekend. Yeah, not this weekend, not the following weekend, the weekend after. So the end of the month. Then we'll be back to normal show. But hopefully the Macron case. By the way, the Macron case has not been decided on as of yet. So a lot of people are wondering what happened. What was the decision on the dismissal? I don't think it's going to be dismissed. And I'm just going to double check real quick while this video is rendering. Yeah, it's nothing new's come up. That doesn't mean that it's not in the system. It just means it hasn't been updated on this docket. This docket, though, is probably the best outward facing avenue that we have. It's not guaranteed. They might have already decided on it and just haven't put it in the system yet. The judge might have decided and say, hey, get with this in the morning. So I mean, it could be. I have no idea, but it hasn't been updated. So because I have to be late every day this week and next week because of Chief Executive Second Born School Play, I can download her video, change the audio level so it can be nice and loud again, like normal videos are, and it's just taking a second to render. So once it's done rendering, we can get popping and locking. But thank y'all, everybody who's jumped in to the best live chat on the internet. I did drop a video. Where is everybody? I think they're making their way in. They're making their way in. That clip by Mappin or that text message tweet by Mappin was such a nothing burger. Like, why would you even post that? Like, but I do think it's interesting that Candace has now given the green light to people to make historical revisionism great again. Like, oh, I can just tell the story that this is what happened between me and Charlie. Like saying Charlie's shooting. I've never heard Charlie Kirk saying he was ever out shooting with the Mappins before. So that's why his name is in the system as Charlie Shooting. That doesn't even make sense. Like he's known for so much more than that. I'm pretty sure if you put Charlie Kirk in your phone, you wouldn't get him mixed up with like, wait, is this the guy I met at Little Caesars? Or is this the dude that was trying to buy me some water at the gas station? I think you would know who Charlie Kirk is. Why did you have to put him in there? So anyway, Mappin is just he's a weird bird. And I think he's really trying to deflect from Candace and take some of the heat and some of the pressure off of Candace, in my opinion. Jason, is unbiblical to sue. So it's unbiblical if the situation is valid. Like, no, you can sue Candace all day long. Candace is not a Christian. Paul was saying that about taking brothers and sisters in church to court. That's what he was talking about. Or me suing. I talked to Rick Caldwell today from Caldwell Apologetics. Great brother, right? He and I don't attend the same church. However, Paul was saying, like, y'all, if you have a beef with Rick, before you try to go to the court, why don't y'all try to figure it out between the two of y'all? I mean, Rick and myself, my pastor and Rick's pastor have all had lunch together. So why would I not call my pastor and say, hey, can you call Pastor Shane and see if we can mediate something between me and Rick, because I'm going to take Rick to court if he don't get this thing figured out. That's what Paul is talking about, rather than immediately going and suing your brother or sister in court. Now, Candace is not a Christian, so therefore there is no reason not to. You can sue her socks off, in my opinion. Yeah, that's the crazy Scientologist guy. Scientologist guy. Shout out to y'all. Yeah, a lot of people are talking about the best podcast. I don't think she was the best podcast after that first time she announced it. I might be wrong, but I don't think it was. I don't think it was. She was the best podcast. Wait. Cancel. I don't think she was the best podcast after that. Truth be told, in my opinion, I didn't look at the stats, but it seemed like after that first time she announced it, it seemed pretty quick that she wasn't announcing it anymore. And I think there was a reason why. All right. So let's get at it, my people. Oh, we're still on time. We cooking. All right. So what I've done is I've taken the video and I've increased the audio. So now it can be heard. I even hear people playing her clips, and I'm like, the audio is horrible. You have to go in and like clean it up. So anyway, I fixed it. Hopefully it sounds good. Let's bring it in. As I always say, green hearts in the chat when you can hear.
All right, you guys, let's get started. Happy Monday. You are not going to believe it. You're not going to believe it. You probably will believe it at this point because all of it's so unbelievable that we now believe it. Well, last week, we obviously brought you a pretty explosive episode wherein we discussed Liberty University. Because when did Charlie's organization make a sudden switch? Suddenly, everybody's discussing faith.
I think it's interesting. Notice her face. She's using her face to kind of steer this conversation, that something is wrong with Turning Point being involved in faith at all, having any kind of engagement in the faith argument or in the Christian sphere. How dare, like look at her face, like it's like somebody just passed gas. Like, that is very interesting. W Audio, come on, for the win. Y'all put DD2 in the chat. I told her. I just think it's funny that she makes such hay about this, but I thought she was a woman of faith. I thought she claimed to be a Christian. Why is it that as a Christian, you don't see any value in Christian ideas, Christian principles, Christian values being in government or in the secular space? Why do you not see value in that? That's going to have to be a question that Candace answers, but let's go.
As opposed to his initial goals focused on the free market and capitalism, when did Charlie's organization turn into a church? Well, the answer, as we went backward, is that it began with him creating the Falkirk Center. And now I am going to reveal to you what exactly happened with the Falkirk Center. Obviously, scandal.
Okay. I'm trying not, I'm going to probably stop a whole lot. So if you're upset about that, it's going to be okay. You'll be all right. I hope did I say this? I didn't tell Cantifa, please make sure you make your way up to the front of the church, because I need all of my Cantifa people. Isn't it odd that Turning Point Faith, and somebody can check me in the chat, Turning Point Faith kind of jettisoned out, kind of got popular about 8 years ago is when they established it. Isn't it odd that Candace seems 100% oblivious to Turning Point Faith, but Charlie Kirk was her best friend? Does that not stand out to anybody? Does that not make you say, wait, hold on. How did this was a big deal in the arm or in the organization of Turning Point, but you don't seem to know anything about it. But you were his best friend. Y'all talked all the time. Y'all talked about Gaza and everything. Every one of your pet projects, y'all talked about it. Interesting. Just seems odd. Let's go.
Which I now believe could have led to the fall of both men, actually, Jerry Falwell Jr. and Charlie Kirk. Plus, later on in the show, Megyn Kelly is saying no to the Israel lobby bullying. She gave a powerful statement to Tucker Carlson, who has just been declared an enemy of the state of Israel alongside little old me. I'm not kidding. Welcome back to Candace. Where should we begin, you guys? Let's just say.
And I've said this before, and I really want to make sure this is super clear about this podcast. This podcast does not have Israel derangement syndrome, nor do we have Israel worship syndrome. I don't think that every sentence needs to end or punctuate with Israel, Jews, or anything of that nature. There's just entirely too much right here in my own little fiefdom that we need to talk about. And I just so so please understand, if I'm dismissive about this Israel argumentation, please understand it's coming from a place of I'm worried about my own yard. I've told the joke. I have a bald spot in my front yard right here. I got to figure that out. And I can guarantee you right now, Bibi Netanyahu nor Hamas are going to come and deal with that bald spot in my front yard. It's not going to happen. And when I get that letter from the HOA, guess what they're not going to say? Please forward this to Bibi. Please forward this to Mossad. Please forward this to whomever. No, they're going to be like, Jason, what's up with this bald patch in your yard? Get it taken care of. There's just too many things that we need to deal with here. And I'm using my bald patch in my yard as just an example, but there's a lot of stuff here in the United States we need to worry about. Why is Candace so infatuated and obsessed with Israel? You do realize that you could just ignore them. And you can't tell me that this little sliver of land the size of New Jersey controls the whole world. That's just stupid. That's just dumb. So let me go ahead and listen to this woman talk. But please understand, that's the place that I'm coming from. So when I say stuff that she sounds ridiculous and she sounds dumb, that's where I'm coming from, because there's stuff that she needs to deal with in Nashville. All this energy that she puts 9 time zones away. Why are you not worried about what's going on in Nashville? Why are you not worried about what's going on inside the Catholic Church? You're going to start talking about people peddling and trafficking folk. Shh, don't say that.
That there have been a lot of misguided PR operations since Charlie Kirk's assassination. And I think that that is putting it mildly, right? A lot of PR blunders, so to speak. Let's see, there was a Operation He Wasn't Catholic Curious, followed by Operation.
Now he's Catholic Curious. Okay.
Candace hasn't spoken to Charlie in years, followed by Operation LOL Egyptian planes. Followed.
Isn't it funny? This woman she will be studied by science. She will be studied by science. You do realize, Candace, that you're the one that's done this stuff. She's joking about the Egyptian planes, but she never actually talks about it. She still hasn't put that information up on her website. Somebody told me today that I was lying and I wasn't a Christian because I was lying on Candace. I said, well, Candace lies all the time. Well, tell me where she's lied all the time. I said, Egyptian plane raw data. Well, she, where's the data? She done said 4 times that she's going to put it on her website. Where is it? I'll wait. That's my point. So it's funny that she says this stuff with a straight face. That's gonna, y'all have to give her a little bit of credit. Like, she's literally lying with a straight face. That is kind of impressive.
By Operation Debunk Mitch in Fort Huachuca with baby mama drama. Huachuca.
What about the French assassins? How about that? We got to, don't forget that one. in Fort Huachuca, ma'am. What happened to it? Notice she's saying it in the past tense, like it's already been an established fact. See, there you go. 4 quarters make $1. Like, she's kind of saying that, 10 dimes make $1. Like, it doesn't matter. It's already established fact.
A mama drama, that was a lot. And I guess what I really mean when I use the word misguided is that whoever is in control of these operations has a bit of a lead foot. You know what I mean? Too much gas on the pedal at all times. The immediate force that's being applied to these psychological operations, they go from 0 to 100, has sort of made the panic behind them pretty obvious to us, the public. It feels like there is someone who has a lot of money to spend, but maybe that person who is in control of spending the money happens to be an idiot. Like, he's just phoning people up, like, I'll give you $600,000 and have that money transferred in your account with Bitcoin today. If you just say these words, Candace has gone crazy. Charlie wasn't Catholic. Mitch is baby mama. He's a crazy man. Crazy. Everybody's crazy. The expression used in the UK that my husband uses is rich and thick. That's used to describe a dumbass who has a lot of cash on hand. Okay.
I'm going to point out something real quick. And if you, I've talked about this before. There's a lot of people that are talking about Candace going down in the ratings. She was #1 alleged podcast in the world, and she's gone down to like 57. Then she bubbled back up to 28. I don't think that's the biggest problem. I'm gonna show you what I think the biggest problem Candace is having right now. And Bring it in. All right. I'm going to leave this up on the screen for a second. You're like, dude, what in the world? Jay, what is this? What is this that you're showing me? You can put a question mark in the chat if you don't know. I know you probably don't know. These are the numbers of super chats that Candace got the week before Christmas. I'm not going to talk about the value, the amount, because the amount is astronomical. But I just want you to see, this is the week before Christmas, the last show that she did. Notice how many super chats she got. Somewhere in the ballpark of about 2,000 super chats. And notice coming back in from the break last week, notice how many super chats she got. Now, that doesn't mean that the bread isn't coming in. That don't mean that she ain't still got bread in her pocket. Candace is doing quite well. I'm not trying to say that she's going broke. What I am saying, however, is the support level has gone down significantly. 2,000 super chats to barely 400? That's a big cut. That's a gigantic cut. And so I think what we're seeing and we're hearing, we're going to go back to the video in a second. I think what we're hearing is her clamoring for support. Like her base is dwindling. Her base is leaving her. People are exhausted with this story because she hasn't tied any of the loose ends together. Mitch was supposed to be the one that makes the FBI come crashing down on their knees begging for forgiveness. What happened? Fort Huachuca, everybody was supposed to be able to know how to spell it. Nobody even knows anymore. Again, the Egyptian planes, that was supposed to make us all like, oh my gosh, yes. Where did it go? The French assassins, we were all supposed to be worried about her. What happened? That's my point. So no, it's not about money. I do believe she's still making bread. Let me just tell you that. She's making money hand over fist. I don't even know what that means, but she's making money hand over fist. What she's not doing, however, is the base is leaving her. There's going to be a problem. There's going to be a reckoning coming very soon as it relates to Candace and her engagement from her audience.
Now, frankly, I have to say in retrospect, the weirdest operation of all, which still persists today in little pockets of the internet, was Operation LOL. Candace has dreams. Why did she talk about her dreams? How dare she discuss her dreams? Only weird people have dreams. And then
No. Everybody probably has dreams. I'm pretty sure if we polled the 785 people that are in the best live chat, y'all probably have dreams. The problem is we don't use our dreams to guide and direct our lives. Therein is the rub. I'm sure everybody's had a dream. You're like, oh, wow. And you see something happens close to that in real life. You're like, wow, that's kind of wild. Or something happens in life and then you go to bed at night and you dream about it. I mean, the same thing can happen. But most logical people don't try to govern and rule their lives based upon, I had too much pizza last night, or I might have had a little bit too much communion wine. Nobody does that except you, dingbat. That's the problem, Candace. And she's upset. So she's going down this list, and I'm just picking this up. She's going down this list of things that she doesn't like. I'm sorry. She's trying to couch them as people are making fun, but you can tell they bother her. They bother her. It bothered her that people didn't buy in to the Mitch story. It bothers her that people didn't buy into the Egyptian plane. It bothers her that people are still mocking her about the dreams and visions that she has in the night. It bothers her about that. And so I guess we know where we're going to go next.
Tell others about them. Ugh, dreams are ridiculous. They shouldn't be listened to. So the question becomes, who exactly is making these terrible PR decisions? Like, who thinks, yeah, what we need to do today is we have to attack the dream. Just go at it and do not let up on the dream. I think I know the answer. I think it's someone who feels personally victimized by the dream. Show of hands, who feels personally victimized by Candace Owens' dreams? And to be honest, it's sort of hilarious that I didn't put two and two together sooner than today. So let's go backward, okay? In the immediate 3 weeks following Charlie's assassination, I was obviously in a haze. I'll be honest,
Of
I
course you
think
can.
I
Of course
told you
you
this
can.
before, but I was not sleeping, I was not eating, and I was having incredibly vivid dreams. I began dreaming like I hadn't dreamed since I was a child because it was every night. And to be honest, it was overwhelming. I didn't like it. I felt
You know why? Because you're feeding your mind a bunch of shenanigans. How many of you all, just in the chat, y'all can be honest. Here we just be honest. How many of you all have found a TV show or a series on Netflix or one of the streaming services that you just became enamored with? Have you ever found one of those? Just put a little hand, just put a little hand emoji in the chat. You're safe here. It's just among friends. And you might, let's just say, you might have binge watched it. Okay, you might have watched a little. Is okay, Jason. I watched 25 episodes back to back. Okay, I got you. All right. There's a lot of hand emojis showing up in the chat. Absolutely. And here, let me tell you about myself. When we first learned about Law and Order, your boy used to watch Law and Order like crazy. When me and my wife first got married, it was just me and her in this little condo townhouse that I bought. Let me tell you something. We was watching Law and Order all the time. And there's a network called USA Network. They would have marathons all the time, multiple days worth of Law and Order, and we would watch it all the time. So would it be odd if when we literally came home, we turned it on? When we went to bed, it was the last thing we saw. Would it be odd for me to have a dream thinking I'm a New York police officer or a detective solving a case? Well, no, because dude, you was feeding your brain that stuff upon time. And then when they had Law and Order Criminal Intent and Law and Order SVU and Law and Order Trial by Jury, I was like, it was going crazy. So would that be odd? Well, no. Candace, all you do is feed your mind this kind of stuff, good or bad. I'm not trying to argue whether or not Law and Order is good or bad, but you feed your brain on this stuff. And then when you go to bed, you're surprised that your brain is like trying to detox and trying to unpack all this stuff that you put in. Come on now. Come on. It's SVU, not SUV. Come on now. Let's get done, Jason. I don't, hold on. Let me punctuate my argument about Candace is losing support. All right. And I know y'all don't like Jason. Look. All right. So this is the number of super chats and the dollar amount that came in the week before Christmas. This girl brings in like rent money and car note money and student loan money. She bringing in your maxed out credit card type payments. This woman brings in a lot of money. That is unreal. That's crazy work, right? That's how much money she brought in the week before Christmas. And notice the number of chats. Notice the number 680 super chats in an hour. That's like I'm sorry, that's 10 every minute. That's crazy. Okay. So, I mean, we paying bills up here. We paying everybody bills. Yeah, this is crazy work. This is bona fide crazy work. Okay, well, Jason, well, what happened next then? Was there a caveat? Did something happen after that? What was it like when she came back from Christmas break? I'm glad you asked that question. Here's her chats after Christmas break. Again, don't lose focus too much on the dollar amounts. She's still making somebody's house note. She's still making your car note and your kids' tuition payments. Okay. She's still making that. But look at the number of supporters that has dipped off. Remember the first one was 680. Now that's almost, what is that? Is that a 95% cut, 80% cut? So what we're hearing here with Candace is, and when I say she was upset, I believe she was really, really mad that people didn't buy into that doggone story about Mitch and Fort Hawkatua. That's really what it is. And she's mad about it. She can't really come out of the bag. And then, of course, Daily Wire comes out and they give her an elbow, which was great. We got Paramount Tactical, he giving her elbows. And she's really upset about the fact that she can't get her base back. Her base is leaving her. Again, I'll show it again at the end, but when you go from almost 2,000 super chats in 4 days to somewhere in the ballpark of maybe 400, that's crazy work. Let's go.
Charlie was haunting me. It stressed me out. I expressed that to my husband through many tears. He told me that I should consult a priest, which I did. And we spoke about souls in purgatory. Anyway, today I feel that it is time to tell you the entirety of the repeat dream that I was having in those early weeks.
I know exactly where she's
It was
going.
actually
I know exactly where she's going. I'm sorry. Okay. I know exactly where she's going. I know exactly where this woman going. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I know exactly where she's going. Okay. Y'all, please, if I pass out of here laughing, please call my wife and tell her I love her. Please call Lady Dear World Christian and say Jason just died in the studio laughing, but he loves you, girl. He loved you. Oh my gosh, I know exactly where she's going.
a replay of an actual lunch that Charlie and I did have in the past. Back in 2018, Charlie and I went to Israel together. And in the dream, we were sitting in the exact same restaurant on a patio, and Charlie began the conversation saying something that he actually said, a real memory from that trip. Charlie was sitting on the patio and he was eating hummus. And he's like, "This is the best hummus I've ever tasted in my life." A dramatic oversell. I always feel there are certain places that people hype so much that when you go there, you feel like you have to pretend it's the best thing you've ever experienced. Otherwise, you sort of let yourself down. It's like, this is the best ever. And truly, I didn't love Israel. I didn't love it even when I was a Zionist because it felt dangerous. You could sense the Muslims hated the Jews. It felt like we were on a tour. People were sneering at us. I just didn't love Israel. I've expressed that many times in the past, but Charlie was getting into the character. It was the greatest thing he had ever eaten. Anyways, the setting of this particular dream, however, had one dramatic difference. We were not there for the opening.
People are asking, why is it always 2018? I'm going to tell you why I think it's always 2018 is because he was not married to Erica Kirk yet. I really believe Erica told Charlie something was wrong with that woman and we need to cut ties with her. I think that's why why Candace has so much vitriol for Erica, because Erica told her husband, yeah, I know she's your friend, but you need to cut ties with her. I do believe that's what happened. That's it. That's why she doesn't have connection with Erica. And I said it before, like all my brothers that I mentioned, all my Morehouse brethren that you hear me talk about, if they're married, my wife knows them and their wives. A lot of them that she hangs out with them. So it's not odd for her to say, "Oh, I'm going out to dinner with this person." Like, "Oh, okay. Well, let me call her husband. We can go hang out too," because she's hanging out with him. But the reason I really believe that's why she's always bringing up 2018 or something older, because I think Charlie really cut those ties with her. Now, I'm not saying that he never texted her, but she's never shown you anything from 2020. So let her show, like y'all put the onus on her to show you proof that I'm wrong. There you go. But I think that's what happened. That's why I think she doesn't mention him. I'm sorry. She always mentions 2018 because that was probably the last time they were really running thick as thieves. That was before he got married. My thoughts.
Of the embassy. And this difference, by the way, I don't really understand yet. I'm just sharing it with you. Instead, we were there in this dream setting for Bibi Netanyahu's wife's funeral. Again, that makes entirely no sense. I've never met his wife. I've never spoken about his wife. I know nothing about his wife. So that's just the context of it. I don't make the rules of dream world. And obviously, as we were sitting there, it didn't strike me as weird because when you're in your dream state, everything that happens for some reason feels like, oh yeah, this is totally normal. Anyway, Charlie said to me, "I don't have much time." He followed that up explaining to me that I needed to see what happened on his left. And he told me explicitly, they betrayed me, multiple people. And I said, "I know, but who?" Then came the frustrating part of the dream. Every time I would say who, you know, when you're in a dream and you go who, or you try to speak in the dream, and then suddenly you're actually speaking in real life and you start to wake yourself up from the dream by accident. That's what kept happening. And whenever I would try to listen to what he was saying, it sounded like he was underwater. So I was frustrated by this. I can't get to the part.
This is a whole grown adult female telling you this story and really wants you to believe and hinge this entire story on a dream that she got. Y'all, come on. Come on. y'all, y'all got to be playing. Are y'all joking with me?
Where you tell me who betrayed you. It wasn't until the third week after his death that finally one face came through in this dream. It came through as clear as day from around the corner of the restaurant. And it was Andrew Colvet's.
I knew it. I told you. I knew it.
Now you have to imagine in the immediate after.
This woman wants TPUSA to respond. I believe Andrew Colvet heard your boy when he said, Andrew, stop communicating with that chick. Stop it. So now she's got a new revelation that she's never mentioned before. So she's gone better than 4 months. Maybe not 4 months, 3.5 months. And now all of a sudden, we got this dream sequence in the multiverse of madness where Andrew Colvet betrayed Charlie Kirk. Okay. All right. That makes perfect sense. No problem.
Aftermath of this, I was not thinking Turning Point USA. Where we're at today is almost like unimaginable going back there. In fact, I was very friendly with Andrew Colvet. We had spoken extensively in the aftermath of Charlie's death. I've known him for years, and I felt really weird about having seen him in this dream, but it was so vivid and it was so compelling that I felt that, as weird and as odd as it was, that I had to text him and tell him what I saw. And this is the text, just sharing with you so you guys know if this all really happened. I said, I rarely have vivid dreams, but I had one clear as day this weekend. Charlie came to me and he sat down and he told me that he did not have much time, that I needed to know that he was in fact betrayed and that they are hiding what happened to my left. I believe his soul is in purgatory, and I believe that you know much more than you've said publicly or privately. And Andrew Colvet never answered. It's the last time Andrew Colvet and I spoke. Now, of course, fast forward today and we learn that it's...
Baby, that sounds like somebody's insane. That sounds like you got somebody wrong text message. That's like the new phone, who this type of response. Like, why would I respond to that? Like, under what would be the proper response if somebody texts you something crazy like that? I'm sorry. You got the wrong phone number. There's a new phone. Who's this? Today I got a text message from a strange number, and it was saying something kind of like they were friendly with the person. Like, hey, did you go out and have a good weekend? Did you see good sights? I said, who are you talking to? And the person replied back, like, don't pretend like you don't know who I am. And so what I did was I said, are you trying to reach out to, and I made up a completely, totally ridiculous name. And I wanted to see what they were going to say. Because if they say, oh yeah, I'm looking out for that person. Are you him? I knew it was going to be some kind of craziness. And the person was like, wait, and that person was shook because apparently she was texting the wrong person. She thought I was her friend and she was texting me. And I'm like, I don't know who this is. And immediately just blocked it and kept it moving. I generally don't even play with them. That's probably what Andrew did to you, Candace. That face right there, that's the face of Andrew has blocked me. He doesn't want anything to do with me. That is the face, Candace. Enjoy it.
It's been Andrew Colvet orchestrating all of these attacks, actually. Got caught red-handed. It's sort of ridiculous that I didn't just assume that earlier. But like I said, that's not where my brain went in the aftermath of Charlie's assassination. I thought, these are good guys who loved Charlie Kirk. But the question I'm now arriving at is why? Why, if it was just a dream, why does it require so much effort on the PR front? Why are we mocking dreams, right? Maybe it wasn't just a dream. In fact, thereafter, what I can tell you now is that two people within Andrew's inner circle reached out to me and told me that I should look more into Andrew Colvet, okay? I'm going to tell you another funny story.
Real quick, how many people do you really, in the chat, do you really believe that two random people from Andrew Colvet's deep inner circle reached out to her and said, you should look into Andrew Colvet, but didn't give her any more details than that? In the chat, let me know, do you actually believe that? Like, it just seems odd that she's always getting these, somebody's emailing me, I got a tip, I found some tea leaves in the backseat of my Uber type of scenarios with no corroboration, none whatsoever. And even what they said wasn't that much. Like, so somebody in the inner circle said you should look into Andrew Colvet. Okay. About what? I'm sorry. I'm not saying that people are playing with her and are trolling her tip line, but I think that people let's just say they're playing with the tip line and they're trolling her. How about that? Is that fair? I'm sorry. There's no way you're gonna make me believe this, Candace. I'm sorry.
Because it now makes me, the irony of it is pretty thick. Back, and this is another story about me and Andrew, back when Charlie was alive and things were great, Andrew called me up. This was actually the end of, I want to say, ahead of AmFest. Yeah, the notorious AmFest that Tucker spoke at. Andrew.
What AmFest was that? What AmFest was that? It's just funny again. Like no dates, no corroboration, no proof, no evidence. It's just a great big giant trust me, bro.
Called me up and he asked me, and I'm not kidding, in earnest, he asked me, "Are you a witch?" I laughed at him on the phone. I was in London and I said, "No, why? What a ridiculous thing to ask me." And he said, "Well, because we just noticed that when some people attack you, really bad things happen to them." And then he proceeded to tell me, which I did not know, quite horrifically, that Dennis Prager, who had just written this open article about me, and it was not done in a very nice way, had actually fallen. And he was very seriously injured. There was nothing funny about that.
Wow. This is the very first time that she's ever called out Dennis Prager. And Dennis Prager, hat tip to him, whether you like him or not, you got to respect that he's a great mind. Wow. And mind you, Dennis Prager swooped in when she got kicked out of TPUSA to hire her, to make sure that she had a role in the position she landed on her feet. Wow. That is something. Wow. There's no bridges that this woman will not burn. Like that, that's going to probably be a shorter list than any other list related to Candace. Give me a list of bridges that she hasn't burned. Wow. Even while Dennis Prager he's not in good shape right now. I watched something from him just this weekend. I'm sorry. Yo, that's some grimy work.
And that he was, having to speak out and type out of his mouth. And then he kind of went backwards and was like, the Daily Wire thing and the Jordan Peterson thing, and like bad things are happening to people after they attack you. So then I realized he was being serious. He was like asking that question seriously. And I remarked to him, "No, but I have really bad rebounds, not just from other people, but to me as well. I've explained this to you guys that if I do something bad, I immediately, the karma of it, I would experience. Like if I stole your phone today, if it was just sitting on a counter and I stole it from a restaurant, I'd go back home and my house would be burned to the ground. That's my kind of very swift karma hits me fast." Anyways, the point is that despite this bizarre question that he asked me about witchcraft, it's him that's the one that's orchestrating all of these attacks. And they have been backfiring on Turning Point USA. And I now understand why exactly it is that he's been leading these attacks. And Liberty University was actually the key. We spoke about the Moonies cult, right? That's what we.
But you told us that Fort Hawkatua was the key. You told us that the Egyptian planes and the rental cars, those were the key. The Red Crane was the key. Now we're all the way in Virginia at Liberty University. Now you dragging them. This one. Oh, by the way, y'all did hear that she said Charlie Kirk was in purgatory, right? Y'all did hear that, right? Okay. I just want to make sure y'all heard that, because I know a lot of people don't like that I got smoke for Catholics. And I try to be respectful to the degree, but you did hear her say that Charlie Kirk was in purgatory. I just want y'all to make sure y'all heard that part.
Spoke about on Thursday. Wow. I told you guys all about this Korean man, Sun Myung Moon, who actually working for the CIA, Assad, while leading effectively what became a religious cult. They were buying up.
The Moonies are not Christian, though. I hope nobody needed to tell her that. If somebody did need to tell her that.
Land, buildings, entire blocks, all these different companies, while convincing the masses that it was actually for the Father. Moon had minted himself as a Messiah. And then he got involved with Liberty University via Jerry Falwell Sr. And my conclusion of that episode was that the true aim of Turning Point USA Faith was to transform Charlie Kirk into a Messiah of sorts, whose image that they could control in his death. And obviously an image that the public couldn't question because of how horrifically sad it was. We all watched him be assassinated. In fact, that might be the answer to the question, why did they want us to watch it? You wanted to kill Charlie Kirk, but why did you want the entire world to watch it and feel emotionally moved, as we have been by this assassination? For good measure, I should now tell you that the Moonies cult was riddled with claims of sexual rituals, physical and psychological abuse, and of course, as we've covered already, financial corruption. So much financial corruption that it actually led to a political assassination in Japan. Remember 2022? Let's go back to 2022 in Japan, because, and I'll tell you the reason behind this assassination, according to the person who committed it. Do you guys know how Turning Point USA has evolved from a charity asking for a check or asking for a one-time credit card donation to now asking for people to pledge their 401ks, their property, basically a means for the elderly they've established to include Turning Point USA in their wills? And doesn't that just feel a little bit icky? Doesn't that just...
Man, it would be really bad if like the Catholic Church did that kind of stuff. It would be horrible if the Catholic Church did that. But people have been doing that forever. People have been willing things to their church, to their local YMCA forever. Like, what is the deal? It's just really odd that she misses all of the similarities between the Catholic Church and everybody that she implicates, whether it be from child trafficking to buying up property to people willing stuff to them. You just seem to miss it. And I don't know if it's just because you're being duplicitous or maybe you're just a dummy. I do think it's probably more dummy than anything else, but let's keep it going. Let's go.
Open the door for old people, the elderly going senile and then maybe accidentally signing away their lives before they die, their estates. Turning Point wants to be included in your grandma's estate planning. I don't like that vibe. Well, that is precisely the reason that the Moonies cult ended up leading to the assassination of the Prime Minister of Japan. The Prime Minister, do you remember him? Shinzo Abe, the longtime Prime Minister of Japan. He was shot and he was killed because a 41-year-old man blamed the Prime Minister, whose family did in fact have long-running ties to the Moonies Church, the Unification Church, as it's called, and whose cabinet was factually closely associated with the Unification Church. He blamed him for promoting that church, which eventually bankrupted his family. This is per the New York Times. They wrote, quote, "In an internal audit, the governing Liberal Democratic Party found that some 180 of its elected lawmakers, or almost half of its entire membership in Japan's parliament, either accepted donations or attended events held by the church and related organizations. That is ringing a bell here." Anyways, back to Abe. Abe's assassination was conducted by a man that was destitute and he was broke because of the Unification Church. They had brainwashed his mother in her old age, brainwashed her into giving the church all of his family's money, and she left her sons, his family, so destitute that he and his siblings often didn't even have enough money to eat, and they became so despondent that his brother committed.
The fact that she is telling a story as if this is now going to cause somebody to think that Liberty University, by the way, Liberty did have some interaction with the Unification Church, but it wasn't about doctrine. It wasn't about teaching. It was more about debt and structure. I'm just doing a quick search on it. It had nothing to do with, I hate to say it like this, it seemed like they were just helping them out in some way, shape, or form. Super weird, but it's back in the 90s. She makes it sound like it happened last Tuesday. But let me go back to this. The fact that she wants us to believe that because the Moonies accepted some money from this woman and she left her family destitute and the son went off the rails and deleted somebody, that is why Charlie Kirk passed away. I'm going to tell you right now, we might need to keep checking on her support because I got a bad feeling her support's going to start tanking. I mean, she's cratering it at this point. I do think she is filling time. Somebody said that. I think she is. This is just a shot clock.
Committed suicide, and he himself had attempted suicide. Again, I'm just telling you what happened factually, obviously not a justification for him to have assassinated the prime minister.
Why are you telling the story?
But it's the story here is compelling. And if I'm being honest, that is exactly the strand of ick that I got as I was watching AmFest and this tent and like the microphone and like put into a case and set. It's like the ghost of Charlie. That's exactly the strand of ick that I got. Like everyone was on stage speaking about the Lord, but no one was actually meaning the Lord. It was instead watching a charismatic cult, people who were trained in tactics of manipulation, preying on weak minds of their followers, and people who actually love Charlie Kirk. And of course, that explains the Hollywood tint to it all as well. Anyways, you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with Liberty University? Well, funny story. I was contacted by people who are still at Liberty University, still working in Liberty University's office.
Y'all, this woman is insane. I'm sorry. This woman is insane. I'm going to show you something. Okay. I'm going to point out something here. So a moment ago, I showed you what Candace's numbers looked like the week before Christmas break. Then there's like a 3-week break. And then she came back the following last week. And the numbers, there was a significant dip. Is that fair? I'm going to pull this in now. Sorry about that. I'm going to pull this number in now so y'all can see. Just so you all can kind of wrap your minds around. This is why I believe she's scrambling and scraping like she's doing. Because this is bad. So today she did 80 supers, 80. Last week she did, the highest was 147. The week before Christmas was 680. She's lost 600 super chats in this time period. Her support is dwindling away. I'm telling you, Candace's support is dwindling. This is some scrambling and scraping right here. This is scrambling and scraping. When you were getting, you do understand. Let me pull this in. And I know y'all are like, look, Jason, I only came over here to watch the show and talk trash. And I'm doing that. I'm talking trash. And I just want you to see this. I'm going to bring this in now. Remove that. Bring this in, Jason. Okay. That week, this week right here, this is almost close to $18,000 in a week. Okay. And that's almost 2,000 super chats. That's a lot of support. That's a lot of support, y'all. 2,000 super chats. That's not just comments. That's not comments. That's super chats. That's somebody giving some kind of monetary support. You scroll down to the next week and that's not even good 500. You went from 2,000 to maybe, like, do some quick math. That's hardly even 400, truth be told. That's an 80% drop. That's an 80% drop. You come down to this week and you only got 80? I'm not trying to be funny, but those numbers look like mine. I'm a little 65,000 subscriber dude that's sitting here talking, making fun of you, Candace. Your numbers are starting to look like mine. Now, I ain't mad. Let me tell you again. Let me say this again. Look, I ain't mad at you making your money. You do your thing. But the support is dwindling and drying up. So everybody that's praying that Candace will go away, y'all might want to just pray a little bit more. I'm just saying. It might be time for us to pray. We might need to do a little prayer and fasting because I think we are watching the derailment. And you see this in the on her podcast numbers. I'm not saying that she ain't making bread. That's not what I said. So don't waste your time saying that because that's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is these numbers are not looking that good. These numbers are not looking that good. And I think the reason she's doing this.
Told me that I had a couple of things wrong.
The reason she's doing this is because of that fact. Let's go.
And I will say allegedly here, allegedly. They told me that Jerry Falwell Jr. was also taken down. Unfairly taken down is what they said. Essentially, the entire pool boy scandal, that was the sex scandal that took out Jerry Falwell. And the circumstance which Jerry Falwell eventually spoke out about, actually himself, confirming this person side of events, was that his wife was indeed having an affair with the pool boy. And that affair was then used to generate a ton of articles and then used to force his ouster out of the church. And this person claims that it was corrupt pastors, evangelical pastors, that wanted him out and wanted to put an end to the Falkirk Center. Okay, so to back this up, Charlie Kirk and Jerry Falwell.
Wait, stop. Did you hear what she said? Jerry Falwell kicked out of the church. No, it was actually Liberty University. Let me double check that. I'm going to check, but I don't think Jerry Falwell was kicked out of his church. Now, it might be, but I don't think that's the case. Let's go.
Came together and established what was the precursor to Turning Point Faith. I was around for that. The aim was to harness the energy of Charlie's brand with the youth and to turn that into ministry for evangelicals and to inspire young people to go to Liberty University, to sign up and to go to Liberty University, because Jerry Falwell Jr. had turned it into a very profitable school. And he had separated it from the church, wanting the finances not to be mingled with the church, which was something that his father had not done. There was no separation between the church and the school when Jerry Falwell Sr. was alive. Well, apparently the pastors who made a fortune while Jerry Falwell Sr. was alive did not like that. They did not like the separation of the church and the school. They wanted to profit from the school's earnings as they had done in the past. Again, I'm going to say allegedly. But this person inside,
So now she's besmirching these people based on a tip. And she's saying that this is true based on a tip. Okay, gotcha.
They've got access. So when Charlie Kirk came around and wanted to expand things in a way that would not directly benefit the church, they weren't so keen on that idea. Now, this person that I spoke to is my favorite kind of source, because she disagrees with me passionately on the topic of Israel. She said, I have to speak up irrespective of that because what they did to Charlie is wrong and they're lying about what happened. And I know that something is not right with these pastors because I know these men. So yeah, they established, Jerry Falwell, Charlie Kirk, the Falkirk Center in 2021. And I want you guys to remember that, interestingly enough, when Charlie Kirk was meeting at Liberty University about establishing that Falkirk Center, a certain Johnny Moore inserted himself into the meeting, the planning sesh, so to speak. He just pulled up a chair.
Hey, real quick. The Falkirk Center, did that center, Candace said that center closed up. Am I correct? That center went away once. Am I correct? Did she say it went away? I just want to make sure I have it correct, that because before I say what I'm going to say, this is very interesting to me. And somebody said it right here. She doesn't know how business works. I don't think she is. Very interesting. What does Candace actually know? What does she actually know that does work? So she did say that. She did say that the Falkirk Center went away or is no longer whatever. That's funny because, yeah, see, this is why you got to check your sources. And Candace sat right there in front of these people, her audience, and lied to them. Jason, what you talking about? Newly renamed Standing for Freedom Center holds steady to its mission. Liberty University's Falkirk Center for Faith and Liberty has officially been renamed the Standing for Freedom Center. Aside from the name change, operations of the center will remain the same, keeping the original mission of defending life, liberty, and truth in an increasingly secular and hostile culture. So why are you sitting there saying it as if all they did was change the names? And they rebranded it to get rid of the Jerry Falwell name, which would make sense.
Now, you remember I told
that would be consistent, if you will. Like, why is that odd? This poor woman. Y'all pray for her, man. This woman is just grimy. And she know good well her audience is not gonna look at that. They ain't gonna check it.
Told you about this Johnny Moore character. At this time in 2021, when he was back on their campus, there was no reason for Johnny to actually be there, even though he kind of grew up on the campus. He did. Johnny had been at that campus since he was 14 years old. We'll get into that. But he had quit his job as the lead pastor of Liberty University back in 2014. And yet here he was coming up with a reason to be there, snooping into Charlie and the Falkirk Center. And you should know that when Johnny left Liberty University in 2014, he went to Hollywood to start the PR company, the Kairos Company. Andrew Colvett, like he was a part of the Kairos Company. You'll recall that. He's Johnny Moore's partner, protege. I don't know what you want to call it. But when that Kairos Company got established, Andrew Colvett was the executive vice president, and he effectively was working for the Kairos Company, Andrew Colvett, and then got hired to be the PR guy for Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. Another interesting point that the source told me is that Johnny Moore, despite going to Hollywood in 2015 to work with, and I should mention here, Mark Burnett, it's who he went to go work for. Mark Burnett is a very big name in reality TV world. If you're in your head like I did immediately when I thought about that, I was like, wait, wasn't Erica on a show randomly? What's the show called Summer House in 2019? Interestingly enough, when Mark Burnett took over MGM, became the chairperson of MGM, they did acquire, he owned Summer House. So that's interesting. So there could be a connection there. There could not be one, but I'd be interested to know who her PR person was there. And I will ask how she got on the show. Anyways, back to Andrew Colvett. Back to Johnny Moore. Johnny Moore immediately and consistently, despite establishing the Kairos Company, wanted his job back at Liberty University. He wanted to be still.
So no time will be spent to solidify that Mitch Snow, his story was true. No time spent debunking any of that. No proof that any of that's changed. No evidence about the Egyptian planes. Nothing. Now we are just going to this new patchwork of random people chasing. This makes no sense at all.
A part of Liberty University, and the question is why? Why was the Kairos Company so interested in keeping a leg inside of growing evangelical organizations? Do you remember back when the ADL put me on their list before I got fired, before the whole Christ is King debacle? That's what they put me on the list for. And then a year later, Dr. Jordan Peterson, and a certain Reverend Johnny Moore created a report and doubled down explaining that Christ is King is in fact actually anti-Semitic. And they created this whole video graphic to show that I was a radical for saying Christ is King. Yeah, that's Johnny Moore and his beliefs pretty much in a nutshell. Like, he just does disastrous PR to defend the state of Israel. But boy, is it earning him some money. He serves on the ADL task force. He received the Medal of Valor from the Simon Wiesenthal Center. These are the organizations, by the way, they were born out of Zionist gangs, literal gangs, just to be clear. And they are the very organizations behind the initial attacks on me that have from the beginning been meant to pull me and Charlie apart by drumming up weird anti-Semitism scandals and then having donors demand action. Anyway.
Isn't it funny that Candace has now, this whole thing is about Candace and people attacking Candace. We're never going, we are not. Charlie is a footnote now at best. Who's Charlie, right? Who's Charlie? Who's Johnny? At this point in the game, like we don't even know what's happened to Charlie Kirk at all. She's supposed to be putting together this masterful scenario. And what has she done? She sat here and just bloviated for the better part of 20 minutes, just sharing stuff, just talking off the top of the dome. I feel like I'm sitting and talking to my crackhead uncle at Thanksgiving dinner. Like, tell me another story, uncle. Go ahead and just talk. Like, this is crazy work. Wow. This is crazy work. And you can tell, like, if you go back and watch this episode right here, you can tell, right? This is a very true statement. I think she really hated Charlie Kirk. I think she did. But you can tell what really gets under her skin and what really bothers her. Because now she's not holding anything back. She's letting you know she don't like Prager. She don't like Daily Wire. She don't like Liberty University. She don't like Christians. I don't think she likes Charlie Kirk. She don't like TPUSA. Andrew Colvett, dude, block her phone number, my guy. Stop taking her calls, okay? She doesn't like Erica. You can hear it in the way that she presents information. She doesn't like these people. And mind you, her not liking you does not mean that these people did anything wrong. It probably means that they're probably better people. If Candace Owens doesn't like you, that might mean that you're actually a good person. I'm just gonna say.
I want you to hear Reverend Johnny Moore in his own words so you can catch his drift, catch his vibe, if you will. Take a listen.
So now, I'm involved in the ADL in all kinds of ways. I'm a part of the ADL and Aspen Institute Civil Society Fellowship. I'm on the advisory board for the Aspen Institute and ADL Civil Society Fellowship. It has shown me where we have to keep our eyes on certain trends and certain ideas, and when people say things, what they actually mean. It's been and not only an amazing educational experience, a practical way for me to get into this fight against hate for good, but it has also afforded me the opportunity to learn so much along the way and to meet so many different people. And I can tell you, again, I'm not Jewish, I'm Christian, and yet I've just always felt at home, in the ADL community.
Now let's hear him, but let's put him in a yarmulke. Take a listen.
I know the state of Israel is strong. It's as strong as it's ever been. The truth is, you don't need us. But what I want you to know is that, need us or not, we are committed to building a great wall of Christian Zionism all over the world to push back the forces of anti-Semitism. But that also includes educating well-meaning Christians on our own history of Christian anti-Semitism.
So who is that guy? Who is Johnny Moore? Where did he come from? The answer is actually quite compelling. He was a kid that grew up in the Lynchburg, Virginia area. And I'm just going to actually read this first sentence from Christianity Today. It says, Johnny Moore was only 14 when he first stayed in the dorms at Liberty University. And since then, he's pretty much remained at the school that Jerry Falwell Sr. founded 41 years ago in Lynchburg, Virginia. Moore and his single mom family briefly lived in the dorms after his parents' divorce and a temporary stretch of homelessness. Okay. Now, somebody that went to school with him verified exactly that. They said he was a kid who grew up outside of Lynchburg. In high school, he was very poor. Very poor. They stressed this. Not a problem, obviously. I was poor too. But they also mentioned that Johnny had some severe daddy issues. I am told directly by someone who went to school with him that he made a name for himself in a long way. He got caught with some porn magazines and was pretty badly made fun of. Okay, kids make mistakes growing up. But it gets more interesting when you learn that suddenly little Johnny fell into a lot of money. He had a male mentor who bought him and everyone in his family, allegedly, brand new cars. So Johnny was po no mo. And this daddy mentor of his is the one that pushed for Jerry Falwell Sr. to give Johnny a position with Liberty University. That man's name is Ron Godwin. It's Johnny's mentor, Ron Godwin, the protege of Sun Myung Moon, the Moonies cult. Sun Myung Moon, who led this Moonies cult, picked Ron Godwin not only just to run the Washington Times for him, which I told you they purchased the Washington Times, but Moon also declared Ron Godwin to be one of his 3 disciples, declaring, and I quote, "You will be like the 3 disciples of Jesus. Each one of you will put yourself in Jesus's position and multiply 3 disciples of your own." So Sun Myung Moon says, I am like Jesus. I feel like I'm blaspheming just saying that. And he picks this Ron Godwin guy and he says to Ron Godwin, and you will pick 3 disciples of your own. And yeah, we can confirm that looks like one of Godwin's 3 disciples, so to speak, was Johnny Moore, who minted the Kairos company with none other than Andrew Colvett of Turning Point USA. Looks like this. If we look at that in an organization chart, yep, he's a declared disciple, and I guess I should have put technically Johnny beneath him. And Andrew, I'm wondering if Andrew is Johnny Moore's disciple, or I don't know, one of Ron Godwin's 3 disciples. We're not sure. But we can tell you that when Ron Godwin retired from Liberty University in October of 2014, of course, his Johnny boy left too, right? Johnny was his protege. And that's when Johnny went to Hollywood. But then all of a sudden he wanted back in at Liberty University and he was told no repeatedly. And without Daddy Godwin to push through his paperwork this time, there really was no pathway for him to end up back at Liberty until lo and behold, in 2021, as his executive vice president, Mr. Andrew Colvett, is now managing Charlie Kirk, the most unbelievable thing happens. Jerry Falwell gets ousted from Liberty University. Jerry Prevost is named as his successor. And the very first thing that Jerry Prevost does is he fires Charlie Kirk, and he also moves rather immediately to reinstate none other than the sometimes lurking Johnny Moore, paying him, I am told, an absurd amount monthly retainer. And I'll say allegedly here, even though my source comes directly from inside Liberty University. So I feel pretty confident that the information I received is accurate, that they just ousted and they said, Johnny's now back and influential and making money here. So what's the point here? Take me very seriously when I say that Turning Point Faith is problematic. The organization is intended to be the Moonies 2.0. The intention behind the Moonies cult, by the way, in case it's not clear to you, was one world government, achieved through the concept of a unification church. We are all being brought in by the, I guess you could say, their version of the Lord, which is just, I don't know, some CIA clone, somebody that you can get behind. Wow. They are repeatedly establishing a messianic figure.
Wow. Oh, wow. This is some high grade gossip right here. This is some high grade gossip. And just to be saying this, and you know your source, you're trusting your source, just like you trust the woman that was talking about Erica, or just like you trust Mitch, or just like you trust the Egyptian plane email. Wow. Wow. I don't even know what to do. This is hearsay. Like, you wouldn't be able to use any of this information in court. But wow. This is some wild work, man. This is wow.
And they're expecting people to follow them because how dare you question the Bible? It's all really sick when you think about it. And Andrew Colvett, I think my dream might have meant something. And that's why you've been completely freaked since. Anyways, we'll be right back after taking a brief break.
Okay, so we got rid of those commercial breaks. Shout out to that. Yo, this is some grade A stir-fry foolishness. But welcome, please. Y'all, welcome, Mag. This is a brand new member. Shout out to you. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much, Tammy, with the 2. She says this. She's demonic. She's given over to a reprobate mind. I mean, this is insane. So now Turning Point Faith is Moonies 2.0. That was some wild work right there. That was Snow's kickback money. I mean, really? I think so. I've said that before. I think the reason she started a GoFundMe, or what is it called, Give, Send, Go, was to funnel money to him. I do believe that. Thank you so much for that too, by the way. Deb says this with the 5. Her dream with a dead person visiting her being our beloved Charlie is not biblical. Demons, however, can appear in dreams and talk through that person. I think that's what we've been watching for the last couple months. Is that? Thank you so much for that. Just supporting Tracy. I appreciate you. I appreciate the love. Thank you for the $5 super. Texas Bully Moms. She's been a member for a month. She says this. That made me think maybe she gets so many supers is because she leaves on cliffhangers, so they're constantly giving tips and asking questions. It's very possible, but I've mentioned this before. Usually when she announces her stream, if she announces her stream at 4 o'clock and it's going to go live at 5 o'clock, that little hour right there, she'll make your whole salary for the month in that little hour. What are these people giving money toward? Why are they giving money to a podcast that hasn't even started the show yet. Now I wouldn't be mad if y'all did it to me. Let me let you know. But why did they do that? In literally an hour, she made $7,000. I mean, that just seems weird to me. I mean, it just seems odd if I can point that out. Shout out to Mike starting the week off with a 20. Says this, Jason, answer the best live chat on the internet. Has anyone ever detected an actual sense of humor in Candace? I think Candace's humor is always situational and mocking somebody else. It's not like she just tells a dad joke or something like that. Her humor is out cringed only by I know that I know is no capacity for genuine humor, I'm sorry, symptomatic or psychopathic. I don't understand, man. I don't understand why. Thank you so much for the very kind $20 super. I don't understand why she doesn't seem to get it. It seems very foreign to her, but this is her own show. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for the 2. I appreciate it. No question, no comment, just pure love of the game. Thank you so much, love. Amethyst Angel, thank you, sister, with the 5. Did you give Mark that raise he earned? He can really do something with her eyes tonight. You can replay her show in Markified Paranoia. If you know, let you know. Let me see. He's probably awake right now. I'll ask him I'll make sure we get that to you. Absolutely. Markified Paranoia. I like that. I think that's gonna be a new term. She's showing this so he can see the text. I'm sorry, she texts him. She's showing us so she can certainly text him. You talking about Andrew COVID? That text was never delivered to him. Really? I never looked at it like that. That's very interesting. And I think personally, I think the whole text message thing is super grimy anyway, because maybe you're texting him for one reason or another, for it to be analyzed by the whole internet. That's crazy work. Thank you so much. I am Hunter with the 10. So Candace is essentially trying to become her own King Nebuchadnezzar or Prophet Daniel with her dreams. She is simply bad sugar, honey, iced tea crazy. You got me. And you're right. I'm right there with you, my friend. I appreciate it. We're going to finish this right here. Craftsman says this was the 5. According to official Catholic belief, a dead person is not permitted to identify their killer to the living as a means of resolving earthly justice. Really? Well, there we go. Well, let's be honest. You think Candace really pays attention to what Catholics believe? I don't think so. Debbie says this was the 5. Tucker has openly explained on his show he had visitations with a demon, and now Candace is revealing someone with discernment said she was a witch. See, I think the whole Tucker story is so ridiculous, but no, I think you're right on the money there. Going back with the 5, thank you. Said, so does she believe in karma or God? I don't know. I don't know. Is she trying to say that God is smiting everyone who disagrees with her? Delusional. That's what it sounds like she's saying, but she does say things like karma. And she believes in karma. So I don't know what she believes. But let's just be honest. I don't think she knows what she believes. Wing Fan with the 5 says this. So Candace's episode tonight tells us that she ran out of material on who deleted Charlie. She is beyond insufferable. Grace and peace, Jay Witt. Thank you so much, friend. I appreciate you. Thank you for the support. And then coming back around, Jennifer says this was a 3. No question, no comment. Just pure love of the game. Thank you so much, friend. All right, let's go ahead. I'm going to take this as a sign that I need to get done so that I don't bore y'all like Candace does. So let's do it. Here it comes.
Something else I would like to add here regarding the Moonies cult and this Korean guy that pops onto the scene after the Korean War. That to me feels like it was orchestrated by the CIA. And I can tell you that one of the patterns that I have recognized when I look into these obviously bought and paid for propagandists is that it seems that their grandfathers are all involved in the Korean War. They were all captains or lieutenant colonels in the Korean War. And I keep telling you that it's really important to recognize this strand of military corruption. I think that's the reason that the Moonies cult was established in Korea during that time, and that it is very likely that the entire thing was just a CIA operation, and they are attempting that again via Turning Point Faith, and that's the reason Turning Point USA Faith wants to get into real estate. It feels like they're buying up so much land, and now we're having these fires that are happening all around the world, these natural disasters, and they're trying to tell you that these disasters are natural, when it's becoming pretty apparent they're not. It feels like these are land grabs, and you should be allowed to think through that with what I am telling you. Anyways, avoid the faith grift in 2026. Something that is happening at the same time, obviously, is that all of these people seem to be radically obsessed with Israel. It's another component of this. It's just you can't let Israel go. It's almost as if the Mossad and the CIA, there is no separation between the two. It's why Bibi used to work.
Or is it possible, Candace, that you're obsessed with it? I don't think many people are as obsessed with it as you are. And let's just be honest, Candace, you are insane about it. Tell the truth, shame the devil. This is crazy work. Anyway, I'm looking real quick. So the Moonies were founded apparently on May 1st, 1954. The Korean War was over basically on July 27th, 1953. And they say sort of. There were still skirmishes and things going on like that. I don't see. Yeah, there's nothing that says that there was any kind of, short of there just being a power vacuum and a political vacuum that caused the Moonies to rise to power, but it wasn't because a land grab or anything of that nature. This is just dumb, Candace.
Work for the CIA. If you've followed past episodes that we've done, I think we uncovered that during our Epstein series, but don't quote me on that. It feels like that is the strand that explains everything. Like our entire media is bought and paid for. Everything is in service of this foreign country. And they're growing increasingly dangerous, increasingly more radical, increasingly more desperate, despite having the entire United States military at their beck and call and being able to, mass murder American troops to fulfill their interests overseas. They are coming to terms with the fact that they're losing a grip on public opinion, which means a lot, actually. Okay. It's important that the illusion, or it was important that the illusion of their victimhood was kept. I think that's something that Bibi Netanyahu actually underestimated. He underestimated how much of it, he was like the magician who believed in his own magic. He underestimated how much of it was successful in convincing all of us to be Zionists because we were operating under the illusion that they were innocent. And he went too far. He killed too many people. Gaza woke up a lot of people. And now they're pretending that the issue is not what they're doing. It's never what they're actually doing. It's not that they're being accused by their own people of conducting and covering up these sex rituals against children in their forests. It's not because.
So I do think she needs to tread lightly, because everything that she's about to say can be completely turned on its ear and point directly at the Roman Catholic Church. Without fail. So everything she's about to say right here, without even hearing everything, ma'am, all of that can be said to Rome. Everything of it.
Because of the fact that tens of thousands of innocent Palestinians have been killed and that they've been intentionally targeted because they're conducting a genocide. The problem is that we're noticing it. And the enemy, therefore, is speech. It's people on a platform speaking about their crimes that are problematic, not the crimes that they are committed. Again, this is the logic of psychopaths. Well, Knesset, it's like their Congress, there was a Likud party representative who got up and gave a speech and declared me and Tucker Carlson to be enemies of the state of Israel. Me and Tucker Carlson, who are calling for peace, we are calling for national sovereignty, we are calling for people in Congress to actually serve American interests, and that apparently represents an existential threat to Israel. Here is what he had to say.
Mr. Speaker, members of the Knesset, I stand here in Jerusalem, the eternal capital of the Jewish people, to sound an alarm. We are used to enemies from outside. We fight terror tunnels of Hamas. We fight the ballistic missiles of Iran. But today, I look at the West, our greatest ally, and I see a new enemy rising from within. I am speaking of a poison being sold to the American people as patriotism. I'm speaking of the intellectual vandalism of Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. Mr. Speaker, let us be clear about what this is. They claim to fight the woke left. They are no different than the woke left. The radical left tears down the statues of Thomas Jefferson, Tucker Carlson tears down the legacy of Winston Churchill. The radical left says Western civilization is evil. Candace Owens says the roots of our faith are demonic. It is the same sickness. It is the same moral relativism. It is the same hatred of the West dressed up in a different costume.
Yes, to be clear, that is dangerous. The Likud party, and I was quite literally, someone was plotting my murder. Actually, a year from the date that Charlie was murdered on September 10th, someone was plotting my murder and got discovered, and that's still making its way through the courts. These people are calling for violence.
Hold up, wait, hold up. Somebody plotted your demise and it's working its way through the court. Please tell me what she's talking about. Please tell me what she's talking about. I'm gonna back that up just so y'all can hear. I need the best live chat on the internet. Dearwokesee@gmail.com. I'm not gonna look that up. But please, if you run across that, please, you know where to put it. Hold on. There it is right there. What? Wait. Wait. She just said that in passing. So she got let her tease it out, Jason.
Left. The radical left tears down the statues of Thomas Jefferson. Tucker Carlson tears down the legacy of Winston Churchill. The radical left says Western civilization is evil. Candace Owens says the roots of our faith are demonic. It is the same sickness. It is the same moral relativism. It is the same hatred of the West dressed up in a different costume.
Yes, to be clear, that is dangerous. The Likud party, and I was quite literally, someone was plotting my murder. Actually, a year from the date that Charlie was murdered on September 10th, someone was plotting my murder and got discovered, and that's still making its way through the courts. These people are calling for violence. That's the implicit threat here. They're all growing increasingly more radical, and they're feeling threatened by speech, which is why I implore all of you, which I see that you are, which is why they feel threatened, to continue to use it and to recognize these people are incredibly dangerous. They are very dangerous. When a person is unwilling to say, here is what I did wrong, especially when that person has murdered tens of thousands of children, what they're doing down in Venezuela, Argentina, when they say the issue is people recognizing what they're doing. Argentina, they are tweeting. I mean, they are in the streets shouting against Zionism. And we're supposed to believe it's because everyone just hates Jews, everyone hates God's chosen people, or because you can no longer convince people that you are murdering, stealing, plundering, raping in the name of the Lord. I think it's the latter, but these people are dangerous. Okay, if anything happens to Tucker Carlson or me, you obviously know that Israel was involved. Obviously, that is unbelievably apparent in their rhetoric. They're name checking us. They're calling us on stage. They're sending their goons out to harass us because we believe in America first and that we should stop getting involved in their interests, and that it is unacceptable, frankly, that our government gives more flack to Tucker Carlson. Our government.
Okay, so I found a quick article about a man that allegedly back in May of last year, 2025, got caught making an attempt against Candace's life. Again, it just seems odd that twice in a year she has these and this one, apparently the guy was arrested. I dropped the link in the chat so y'all can look at it. So I'm not going to read through it. So I just scanned over it real quick to get an understanding of it. But it just seems odd, like twice in a year you have these high profile hits put out on you. This one, the actual FBI was involved in it. I'm just wondering why, again, for the other one, it wasn't, but maybe we all know why. I don't know. Maybe we know. And lastly, if you want to say you're America first, Candace, you say that, and it sounds good, and it rolls off the tongue and it tickles the ears. The problem is, Candace, you don't talk about anything here in America. You don't talk about anything here in America to deal with anything. I mean, Trump has been doing some wild stuff just literally in the last 36 hours. Why are you not talking about that? Oh, that's because your show was recorded yesterday. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? I didn't mean to say that out loud. Who said that? But why are you not talking about anything that's going on in the States right now? Good, bad, or indifferent. You didn't even mention the woman that got shot in Minnesota. Why are you not mentioning that? Because her show was recorded yesterday, Jason, and she didn't have time to talk about it. Who said that? But why are you not talking about those things? Like, again, if you're America first, right? But you're not talking about the things that are germane and only America. It just seems odd to me. Maybe it's because the show is recorded. Stop saying that.
Representatives give more flack to Tucker Carlson than they did to Jeffrey Epstein. That they choose to cover up the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein while pretending that speech in America is what's actually radical, not people who are actually harming children and abusing children sexually. We don't even have a government, in my view. Like, we can't even...
You mean like the Roman Catholic Church?
Protect the nation's most innocent. How do we even have a government? I guess that's a larger philosophical question. I do now want to cut to the sad fact that it seems that women in the media have been braver than most men in the media, who seem to just be bending the knee and taking it and calling themselves heroes or tough guys, but not willing to stand up for speech. At the very least, stand up for speech in America. Megyn Kelly sat down and discussed. She's been at length under attacks. They are adding her to their list. It's very obvious because she simply won't bend the knee. She has said nothing wrong. She actually is a Zionist and she supports Israel. But for them, they learn that you must fully allow us to control your speech or we'll attack you. You know, we will assassinate your character, essentially. Assassinating the character comes first. Well, here's what Megyn Kelly opened up to Tucker Carlson about on his show, and here's what she had to say.
I've gotten notes from all of these people, dear friends of mine over the past 2 years. Thank you so much. You make me and my family feel safer. These are pro-Israel Jewish friends of mine in the media. You make me and my family feel safer. I love you. My family loves you. God bless you. These same people have now turned on me, and some are calling me an anti-Semite. Why? What did I say? What did I do? Did I step on a rake and say something super anti-Semitic without realizing it? No, it's because I won't defriend you, and I won't condemn and say that Candace Owens is hateful. They want me really, really badly to condemn Candace Owens. And I'm sorry to break it to them, but I am responsible for what I say, not for what anybody else says. I am not Candace Owens's policeman. And by the way, they're kidding themselves that if just one more voice will say something nasty about Candace, she could finally be controlled. Like, how well has that worked so far? But again, the instinct is to stop her speech, stop it, make her stop it, make Tucker stop saying the things. Well, I have no desire to, and I have no power to. And for that, I was called a coward by Ben Shapiro at the Turning Point event, AmFest, in December, who, by the way, in my last exchange with him, literally said, our friendship, his and mine, is too important to both of us to make it depend on whom else we are friends with and aren't friends with. That is literally the last text I have from Ben Shapiro. The next thing I knew, he was standing on the stage at Turning Point calling me a coward for this very thing.
Listening to that is just so real, and it always starts with something like that, just controlling speech. Like, I have been no fan of Nick Fuentes, but I remember the peer pressure campaign that came from the pro-Israel lobby to compel me to say something about him. Why? Just like she is saying, I'm not his mom. So this was way back when I didn't even know anything about his content, nothing. I knew who he was, but I wasn't watching Nick Fuentes' show. He was kicked off of every platform. And they were just demanding that of me. I remember the text messages from Seth Dillon trying to compel me to say something about Nick Fuentes. And the emotional manipulation of it all. I'm going, why do I have to say something about Nick Fuentes? There's like tons of articles about Nick Fuentes. He's been kicked out of all these events. Why do you need me to personally do it? That's what it's about. It's about making sure that they can control your platform. And I'm sorry, they behave like a gang, as I have expressed many times. That was my experience. You behave like a gang, trying to basically say you're not allowed to have a mic and speak unless you're willing to bend the knee to us. And it's frankly speaking wrong. And what I think is more wrong than even that is that so many men have microphones and don't come out and condemn it explicitly, vociferously, name names. Like, you should just like obviously recognize, and not even condemning the fact that they're bullying these people, but recognizing rather the threat to our speech. That's real. You purport to say that you care about American values. Okay. People want to get laws passed. People are bullying people, trying to compel them to speech. People are making threats to people's livelihoods. And in some cases, as I believe the case with Charlie Kirk, some people are killed, are actually murdered because they can't get controlled. So if you're going to purport to be a person that cares about American values and purport to care about the fight and recognizing what we are up against, you might want to recognize that Israel is starting to squeeze Americans. And by the way, beyond anybody else, forget the men that have microphones. I actually want to say that our government allowing another government, another party that I'm compelled to give my tax dollars to, I'm compelled to actually give my tax dollars to Israel. Allowing them to stand up and declare me an enemy of the state, I have to pay for that? Where's JD Vance on this? Where's Trump on this? Where are all of...
But don't you give more money to other entities within the United States that you disagree with? Like, why are you not worried about, I mean, okay, fine. Okay, fine. You give money to the government and it, by hook and crook, makes its way to Israel. Got you. But what about all of the other expense? Like, she makes it sound like this is the only thing that matters in the world. That's just a lap too far. That's just a lap too far. And I believe that's why she has this brain rot, because she doesn't understand. I do believe she understands. I'm sorry. She does understand. She just rejects that there are other things that are equally, if not more important than that. So what's going on in Jerusalem doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. How many of y'all had ever seen that guy stand there in the Senate, the Israeli Senate, and say that about Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, and then rushed to look at gas prices, or rushed to look at how much eggs were, look at your mortgage or your kids' tuition, or step on the scale? None of those numbers changed with that information. So what is the purpose of it? I'm not losing sleep over that. But sure, I would like our government to send less money overseas. Absolutely. But that's all overseas. It's not just a little place that looks like New Jersey of the Middle East. Like, this is just dumb.
The Congress members on this, I don't know. Am I wrong for thinking that should be unacceptable? The way that they speak about us while we have to fund their military exercises all around the world, their military aims all around the world. I mean, it actually drives me totally insane that
I do believe that's true.
I have to pay these people my taxes. I have to go to work. We all have to go to work to support the nation that is demanding that our...
Because you're just like us, Candace. You're just like us. You're a clock puncher, just like the great unwashed. It's just the great unwashed, man. You just punching the clock just like everybody else. Absolutely.
Speech gets suppressed, and we are the last stand. So use your speech while we still have it. All right. Top comment from last episode is, I think it's safe to say it is never a good thing when our military is going to other countries to help children. Yes, we talked about that. I created that column. Obviously, I was using Excel sheet in all the wrong ways, but created a clear column to speak about how many times sex trafficking has come up in the story, the history of our military, and I have received since then even more explosive information. And so we're going to get into that later this week. You are absolutely correct. I do not believe that our military is helping children around the world. I do not think that is their explicit aim. In fact, I think it's much darker than that. I think we all sense that. We will take a brief break before I read the rest of your comments. The next book club will be January 23rd. Okay, get into your comments. Project Constitution is in the chat. That's a huge donation. Thank you. He's one of the bigger accounts that's been discussing everything Charlie Kirk on X. He writes, Erica is the reason Charlie even got involved in the Falkirk Center. And then the spinoff of Turning Point USA Faith, she was brought in as his handler to move him in that direction. She had him starry-eyed and wrapped around her finger. Go, Max. Love you, Candace. Keep shining the light on evil. Look, I am obviously part of the reason I know everyone's like, oh, why weren't you here? I met my husband and it was like happily ever after and skipped into the sunset. And I can say, I can pinpoint that, yes, obviously we know that Erica Kirk was a Falkirk fellow. I have not yet heard that she explicitly said you need to establish the Falkirk Center. And I would have to go back and ask people that. I am starting to work through some of the questions that people have about her background. And I've wanted to be very careful because I don't want to miss, I don't want to make any mistakes. And I want to understand it. I want to understand a lot of the different things that we're all seeing on X about the charities that she was involved in and the overseas stuff. And, she's
Why don't you just call her if you have a question? Oh, that's right, because you don't have a relationship with her. My bad.
says she lived in China, and she says that she lived in Costa Rica, and when and for what. A lot to kind of go through, and it's taking a lot of time, but I do intend on doing an episode dedicated to that in the future. But I also want to give her the opportunity to respond to any questions that I have. Natty Nicole writes, Candace, I'm constantly finding myself speechless. Wow, this is insane. I'm heartbroken and filled with rage all at the same time, mostly heartbroken. How does Andrew Colvett sleep at night? We win in the end, but boy, this is hard. Yeah, it is hard. And I feel silly that I didn't realize it was always him, obviously, behind all of these attacks until he got caught red-handed. And then the Johnny Moore thing, like, you should have seen me. My mind was just blown when I figured out after doing this whole episode about the Moonies and like, why does this feel like the Moonies? And then bam, Johnny Moore, Andrew Colvett. Here's Johnny. The Moonies are back, and it's a different name. That's what's happening here. That is obviously what's happening here. And it goes back to the Korean War. That's the American CIA infiltration. It's been a long Monday, so I'm not even going to get you guys ready forget whether or not 9/11 was a false flag. Are you ready to talk about Pearl Harbor? Are you ready to talk about Pearl Harbor being a false flag? If not, it's okay, because we're not going to do it today. We're not going to do it, okay? But the vibes are not vibing in the Pearl Harbor story is what I will say. And Lyndon Baines Johnson was a devilish man throughout, and he was a president later, but we should talk about Lyndon Baines Johnson, the efforts that were in the Vietnam War, and what happened in terms of our military involvement overseas and what the actual aims were of the Vietnam War. There is so much that I could unpack for you guys.
What's that got to do with Charlie Kirk, though? You done drug the Korean War in here. You done drug the random Moonies up in this piece. Now you besmirching the doggone Vietnam War. I mean, come on, man. What in the world are we listening to, y'all? We're almost done. Let's go.
Starting from Pearl Harbor through to Lyndon Baines Johnson and beyond. But yeah, anyways, we'll get there one day. 6-7 writes, thanks, Candace. Great job. That's a donation from Argentina. I am so sick with what you guys are going through. I was so attacked when I said I just didn't trust that dude. Just didn't trust Mile. Saw some stuff about like, really, his full last name is Mileikowski, and he looks a little like Bibi Netanyahu. I mean, that's a conspiracy, but hey, it's Monday. We're talking about dreams. We can talk about conspiracies. And I'm a conspiracy girly, and I have the mug to prove it. Victoria Betts writes, go Max, and always all glory to God. You are correct. The One You Feed writes, what the hell is America's law enforcement? Is everybody bought? A lot of people are bought. In fact, I think our military at the top are actually just mercenary squads to protect the gangs. I'm just going on all the conspiracies that I'm feeling in my vibes, but like, I'd like to revisit some of these school shootings. I'm wondering if children were being trafficked and administrators found out and they ended up dead. I've got weird vibes about some of these shootings now, because I do think that in part, when you look at some of these mass shootings, you find out that there's some like government initiative, or I guess the government can benefit by having this particular person dead. How long has that been going on for? I don't know. Obviously not every school shooting, but I have questions. Cami R writes, admire you so much, Candace. I have 2 grown kids, so I appreciate what a warrior you are being a mama and bringing us information. God bless you and your family. It's the only way, man. If this really does become one world government, and I do believe that that is the explicit aim, our kids just have no chance. So how are we not brave? Do you love your kids enough to be brave? Do you love your offspring enough to be brave? Do you love your family enough to be brave? I do. Charlie did. MakeItKnown.world writes, anybody, and I mean anybody but the current stooges in Congress, both houses that support the Zionists, do not vote for them. It only encourages them. I totally agree. And I'm not voting until we figure out who killed Charlie Kirk and exactly how it happened. So I'm out. You don't have to talk to me about politics at all. Blakely Webb writes, I just got into it with a lady on Facebook because she was saying that you are stupid for having dreams and sharing them. She then proceeded to tell me about her dreams about you. How do people not realize how ironically stupid they are? That's actually really funny. I dreamed a lot. I'm still having vivid dreams. They're not as, they're not every single night like they were in the beginning, which was really stressful for me. I didn't like it. I did not like it. But I encourage you all to dream, and God speaks to us in our dreams. No, and actually, in fact, that is biblical. So how about that? Anyway, you guys, we will see you tomorrow.
Again, your if you're getting your Bible advice from Candace Owens, let me tell you something right now. You are getting your Bible advice from a demon. I'm just gonna say it. My name is Jason. No, we don't go by. No, we don't do that. No, it's just not happening. Let me finish this up, and I know some people are gonna. I want to talk about some things right here. Real quick. Thank you, our Lila Rose with the 6.99 Canadian. Now Candace is attacking Simon Wiesenthal. Is just awful and way beyond the pale. At this point, I'm not actually surprised. I mean, I hate it, but I'm not really surprised. Greg Otis with the 5 says she isn't even pretending this is about Charlie. I think we've said this. We said this a couple weeks back, but now she's just showing us in 4K or whatever K your phone is at the moment, 8K. Have you seen the video of Charlie been asked what his thoughts were on Candace? Thank you so much for Kiwi seeking the truth with the 5 New Zealand. I have seen it, and that's why when you see those things and you line them up correctly, it's very clear that Charlie kind of cut ties with Candace. He kept her close, and they probably still got a text message or two, or they were in, happy birthday, Merry Christmas, stuff like that, happy anniversary. I just don't think they were kicking it like they were thick as thieves before. That's where the problem is. What do we have here? Thank you so much. Natasha says this with the 8.99 New Zealand. Remember when the radical left, church shooter thanked Candace for his inspiration. I read his manifesto, MSN, mainstream media, said he was a supremacist. He was not. And I might have to look into that, Natasha. I don't know that, but I do appreciate it. Thank you, friend. Here we go, right here. Emotional support paintbrush with the 10. Thank you so much. I really like you and follow a long time, but Candace is not a representative of Catholics. I'm going to stop right there. I know that she's not a representative of Catholics. She does claim the name of Catholic, and therein is the rub. I'm not saying that Candace is a perfect Catholic at all. And in a moment, I know what you're going to say in a second, but I need Catholics to stand up and say, Candace is person non grata. Y'all need to say that. Just like you would want me to say the same thing about Jamal Heresy Bryant or TD Fakes. I'll call them out left and right and center. I got no problem with that. They profess to be Protestant. I say that they got problems. Catholics need to do the same thing. Let's continue. Protestants have issues, abuse, too, starting to feel like, let me stop right there. Absolutely. And guess what? I call them out too. I don't let that slide by and be like, oh, well, let me talk about Candace. No, I'll talk about my own stuff, because that's consistent with what I gave the example before when I said I got that patch of ball patch in my yard. I got to deal with my own yard. So yeah, I talk about my own yard, and I need Catholics to do the same thing. It's starting to feel like Catholic Bass Fest. No, I'm just saying, let's just tell the truth, shame the devil. Catholics have the same things that Candace is bringing up. Catholicism has those same skeletons in its closet. And if Catholics are not going to stand up and say, Candace is not representing our parish, or we no longer represent or respect Candace, whatever, then maybe that needs to be looked at more than just me. Because when I get off the stream, I'm not going to be worried about Catholicism. But that's y'all's. She's representing y'all. Let me continue. Please, let's show unity and love. Every church has sin. No question about that. I don't think that's ever been said that we didn't have sin. All I'm saying is, can y'all call her out? Because I did a whole show last night on Saturday, talking about Jamal Heresy Bryant. Whole 2 hours dragging Jamal Heresy Bryant and Stillbirth Missionary Baptist Church. I need to see that same thing, the same energy from Father so-and-so or parish this and that. That's what I'm talking about. But I thank you so much. And I hope you don't feel like we're bashing you. That's not the aim. Thank you so much, Irene. My Brit in the U.S. is this: if people are trying to suppress her speech, why isn't the shadow banned like the rest of us? That's an excellent question. Candace knows good and well she is not under any kind of shadow ban. She's getting boosted. She's getting promoted. She's getting all the shine that nobody else is getting. Thank you for the 5. Please sedate me. I need a sneeze button. Okay, that was it. I think I got them all. Please sedate me for all of 2026. Or quiet Candace Owens. I don't know, man. 2026 is starting out crazy. I don't know, man. It's gonna be an interesting year. Uh, thank you for the $2. What do you say here with the 5? What about billions in fraud that are our tax dollars that have been going? Like, why is she not talking about that? Like, why is that not on her registry? What's happening in Minnesota? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's going on. But nope, we're still talking about the $10.85 that we send to Israel. She don't talk about the money that we send to Ukraine. Lynn says this with the 5. Thank you so much. Megyn Kelly clawed her way back from ruining her career once only to do it a second and final time. I'm done with Megan, Tucker, and Candace forever. Shout out for sure. Thank you so very much. I don't understand. Like, to me, Megan's digging her heels into the ground for what? Like, what? Again, you don't have to dog somebody out, but yeah, like I don't even hear from Brandon Tatum anymore. Let me say real quick. Phantom says this with the 5. How one politician speaking on the floor of a parliament affect Israel policy? A politician speaking in the Congress did not reflect U.S. policy. She's dumb. I agree. Like what are you talking about, Candace? But she wants it. She has to be the victim, perpetual victim. A crazy mind starts off intelligent and then moves to strange, dark, and delusional, accusatory, and constant babble. Sound familiar? Love you all. Thank you, Debbie. I appreciate the 5. Wow, thank you so much. With a loving Jesus with the $50 super. Thank you so much. What on God's green earth is she talking about? What on God's green earth is she talking about? Let me tell you something. This is just an epic game of pin the pin the sin on everybody. So you got the Moonies, you got Liberty University, you got somehow or another it's tied to Erica, you got Tyler Boyer. I mean, she's just throwing everybody in there. This is like the biggest game of Clue that you're ever going to see. And it doesn't make sense. That's the part I don't think she gets is that it doesn't make sense. Nobody's tracking with you. And I'm going to show you something in a minute I think solidifies that. Thank you very much for that very kind $50 super. By her logic, Adam and Eve were Messiah. See, observing chaos. That's hilarious and probably true. No, Abel was Messiah. Abel was Messiah because he killed Cain. I mean, Cain was Messiah because he killed Abel. Next bridge will be George. Imagine having a regular marital argument with her. I cannot imagine that. I cannot, Marissa. Thank you for the 5. There's no way I can imagine that what that house is like. It's got to be crazy work. It has to be. And let's finish this up real quick. Jody says this with the 5. I will call Candace out in a heartbeat. I don't think she belongs to a church since no member of a church is calling her out. Like, I would love to know, like, you spoke to a priest and they were okay with everything that you're doing. Okay. I don't think that happened. I don't believe it happened. I'm sorry. She's going to have to prove to me that actually happened. I need to see receipts, but she's not going to do it. She's not going to show us the receipt of the raw plane data. That's not going to happen. She's not going to put the email up that told her about the French assassination. That's not going to happen. She's not going to go back and visit Fort Hawktua and anything that Mitch Snow said. None of that's going to happen. Not a bit. Y'all, this is some crazy work. Y'all are the best. Thank y'all so much for rocking with us. I want to say thank y'all so much. Tomorrow, we will be back at this again. It's going to be a late one as well. And I'm going to probably move the book club, the book discussion on the Screw Tape Letters because it's supposed to be at 7 o'clock. So I'll probably have to move the book discussion to 8 or I'll move it forward. I'm going to just put a question out there on the community post and see what y'all think. Move it up, like do it during the day, or move it back, do it at night, whatever like that. Because y'all all over the place. Y'all, we global. We global up in here. All right. But y'all, thank y'all so much for rocking with me. I really, really appreciate it. I do. Hey, real quick. Did y'all like that the audio better this time around? Because I know I usually get tons of comments about her audio is super low. Was that audio better this time? Did that work? Because it sounded better in my ears, but I want to make sure. It doesn't usually sound bad in my ears. Okay, lots of yeses. Okay. Okay, great. Okay. So that's what we'll do. So all right, so I will make sure way better. Okay. It's something she does with her audio. I don't know why. I don't know why her audio, and I've heard other people playing her audio track, and it sounds like super low thing. So now, because I have to come in late to the rest of the week, I'll snag it. I'll rip, rip the commercials out and raise the audio up so we can enjoy it. So okay, cool. Thank y'all so much. I really appreciate that. I'm glad we did that. I'm glad because it did sound better in my ears too overall. But thank y'all so much for rocking with us. Thank you so much for the supers. Thank you so much to the mods. Y'all, the moderators work really hard behind the scenes and make sure that y'all have a good experience. Can y'all just flood the chat with mods? Just put mods in there, all of them, because they really do work hard to make sure that this is a good experience. Really? Mine was low now? Oh man, I need to turn my own stuff up. Again, in my ears, it sounds fine. And that's why it's hard sometimes to gauge it because in my ears, it sounds perfect. Even Candace's, I mean, I still turn it up a little bit, but it sounds fine in my ears. But when I listen to it after the fact, I'm like, that's terrible. So shout out to y'all. Thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate y'all. Thank you. So thank you so much for the supers. Thank you so much for jumping into the best live chat on the internet. If you didn't already, please make sure you tip your waiter. Drop some green hearts in the chat on the way out the door. Have a fantastic rest of the night. I'm looking forward to, God willing, I'll see y'all again tomorrow. Everybody have a great night. Grace and peace. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Jay Witt Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and hit me up with that 3-piece special. Like the video, subscribe, and of course, share it with somebody who would also enjoy this type of content. And make sure you leave a comment because I do pin the best comments to the top. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.